and good morning. Welcome to the NuSpecies Live Q&A. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Aston. Good morning.
Thank you all for being here. Just want to invite those who might be new to our program. NuSpecies is a natural health company. Aston invented our flagship formula over 20 years ago and incorporated NuSpecies 18 years ago. And ever since then, he's been inventing further formulas based on our client needs. And all of our herbal supplements and our herbal medicine and supplements are designed to help your body be resilient against the toughest of health challenges. We have fought hard for years and worked with the FDA to create some of the most powerful and pure and natural and effective and safe herbal medicine and supplements that we think exists.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been helping people with a huge diversity of health goals. One of the reasons why we host this Q&A, though, is because what a good health decision for one person may not be a good health decision for someone else. And so there's a lot to work out and process all along the journey. And we use this Q&A as a platform to help you do that to the best of our ability, of course. So we are here. Our agenda is your agenda. We don't have any guests or presentations necessarily. We always have things on our mind that we're happy to share if you don't have any questions just yet, but feel free at any point, no matter what we're talking about, to post your questions or comments in the chat, and we will keep an eye on them and make sure we get to as many as possible before the end of the show.
On that note, we know it's Easter. Happy Easter to all of you.
Happy Easter.
And, family and friends are home, and it's a big holiday weekend. Especially for people in other parts of the world. So get your family members and friends to join and listen in today. You never know. They may learn something that can help them, even if it's self-help, self-reliance at home. Mm-hmm. You never know. We cover wide territory and universes when we get on this Q&A. So get your family members and friends to join and just listen in. And if they have questions, of course, they can ask.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I was actually just thinking about the beautiful green and sun behind us today, because I was looking back in our archive, and on this week last year, there was actually a bunch of snow on the trees behind us during our show. So let's hope that's over with, right? I think it all fell in February. But yeah, please take a walk, breathe the fresh air, take your kids for a walk, enjoy this weather. It's really, really healing.
It is. And we're going to talk a lot about that in the coming weeks and months, about healing from nature itself, right? Just taking walks or sitting out there and breathing fresh air.
Getting your hands in the soil, putting your feet in the grass.
Yeah, get
some access to.
Yeah, get some electrons, from the ground going through the body. That's what gives us energy. So a lot of people don't realize the power in nature's healing beyond food. And healing doesn't, it can mean many things. It can just mean energy. It can just mean vitality, and we're going to talk a lot about that in the coming weeks and months. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick up where we left off a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so we'll just talk about things that are on our minds, and if it inspires something, go ahead and comment or question.
Right, especially if it rings a bell with something you're going through or a family member is going through. And we like to say, because it's true, we cover 3 to 5 generation of family members with our clients. We have the great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, kids, grandkids who come to us, even babies that are 1, 2, 3 years old. The mothers, the parents bring them to us when the doctors can't help them. So we cover a wide area when it comes to the family lineage, ancestral lineage. We cover a wide spectrum of each NuSpecies family, right? So we're always keeping that in mind when we talk to you that we're talking to your whole family and your friends and your parishioners.
And if you want, anytime, you can just go up to the top of your URL bar and highlight it and hit copy, and then paste it into your WhatsApp family group or wherever you chat with folks and say, "Hey, I'm watching this now. If you have any questions about your health or how to heal naturally or how to improve your health naturally, you can hop on now and ask Aston and Jillian."
Right. The only reason why we're sitting here and you're where you are, sitting, walking, driving, hopefully if you're driving, driving safely. The only reason why we're sitting here and you're where you are, listening to us and watching us right now, is because all of us know that we love our medical system, but we know even though we adore our medical system, it can't do everything for us. And we have the proof in friends and family members who are not here, who at least some of us believe shouldn't be here. So that's why we're here. We're here to, to talk about these things. And we're here to give you as much information, education, knowledge as we can give you to help yourself at home, self-reliance, independence. That's what we're trying to do. And once you become self-reliant, you understand what we do, you understand what you need to do for your health and for your family, and your friends, you become the missionaries of NuSpecies to go out and help other people if you get help or if you believe in what we do. And that's why we ask you over and over, if you like what we do, you give us a review. And so other people can get help. That's another way to help other people.
So I guess we should say that right now we have a discount going for this week, which is 15% off all the full price products. And the promo code is the word sunshine, which is also on the website, so you don't have to remember that. But if you want to turn that into 20% off, then you can go to Google and write us a review. You have to pick one of the locations, Pauling, Elmont, or Bronxville, it doesn't matter. And you can put a review on Google. You can also go to Facebook if you use Facebook and review our page there. Don't reply to one of our posts. Actually go to the review section and put a review there, so it's more official. And then let us know that you did it. Just email support@nuspecies.com or text our main phone number, which is on the screen right now. And I will send you your own unique promo code for 20% off. You could also just choose to use the 15% right now, still write a review, and then you'll get a 20% off that you can use over the next several weeks for your next purchase. So we are, like I said, we're not telling you what to say or that it has to be good. We just would like you to write a review. And we're happy to reward you for that effort because it really helps us. Your honest feedback will help others make really important high stakes decisions about their health. Imagine a person out there who doesn't know NuSpecies is available to them and they're still scrolling the socials, trying all these fads, ordering stuff on late night television, wasting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars and months of their life using stuff that's never going to help them.
Right.
All while, yes, doing their medical interventions, hopefully, but also maybe suffering from side effects of medications. And meanwhile, there's a company and guidance and love and amazingly safe and effective products sitting right here that they could have been using for months and have put that hundreds of dollars to much better use. And they might already be feeling better by now. And maybe the only difference between that reality and the one I described before is that they didn't have your review to convince them that they should try NuSpecies. So that's why we really, yes, obviously it helps us, but it only helps us if we're helping people. So it's a win-win, and we're asking you to help us do that.
Right. And I know that the costs, some people see the costs as a negative, but we see it as a positive because the people we help, they're still alive and they're better off with their health and their life. So we make NuSpecies to work, and it works. It really does work. It works faster for some people than others. So in the end, if you have good health and you're alive and you're better off. You're enjoying life more. Yes, it costs you few pennies, I think it's way cheaper than taking synthetic chemicals that only is going to, they're only going to hurt your body. Even if you may have a little spurt of energy, the body's going to crash, and the crash are cells getting sick. It's inflammation gathering when you get the crash. You don't ever get a crash from NuSpecies. And speaking of the reviews, yes, I'm going to put you all a little bit on the spot. I know you love Ashley. I know you love Crystal. I know you love Mary. So give them a review if you like what they do. And I know they're helping thousands of you because they talk with you more than I do. And I read the notes that they write to me to let me know what they're saying to you and what you're saying to them. So give them a review. They're the soul of NuSpecies. They're the ones who are on the front line.
Mm-hmm. And when you do that, we copy and paste it and put it into our team. We have a praise chat where everybody's on it, and we always post any praise that anyone on the team gets, or we praise each other for our successes. So we always share what you say about them to the whole team. And we think, I hope it makes them feel really good. I assume it does.
I'm sure it does. All right.
June says, I love Mary too.
So let's preach now. It's Easter.
June, that's a point. Well, Aston was referring to people like on the front lines on the stores, but you're right. Mary is on the front lines on the phones. So
yeah, Mary is,
and always standing right behind us.
She's answering the phone, so she's directly in the front lines, like Crystal.
All right. Well, we have a question.
And yes, I didn't mention Shania. Shania is also, extremely well loved by you all. And I must say, one of the most beautiful things about the team we have at NuSpecies is that I have never had a complaint about the team we have. And I think that's beautiful because I know that there are a lot of NuSpecies out there who are like my little daughter, Nova. There are a lot of NuSpecies who are ruthless. Yes, she's ruthless. So for our NuSpecies out there, and not to complain, those NuSpecies who don't take prisoners, I know they're doing a great job, the team. So, all right. So it's Easter now. So let's preach NuSpecianism.
All right. So we've got a question from May.
Okay.
So May says that my sister was just diagnosed with temporal arteritis. Can you give an idea on what this entails? So I hadn't heard of it, so I Googled it just to be sure there wasn't a typo or something, because I know y'all are just chatting on your cell phones and it can be hard, but that's actually correct. I'm sure you've probably heard of it, but I thought it was interesting because it's using a term that you just brought up when we were talking about root causes of disease. And it says it's a serious immune-mediated inflammation of medium to large arteries. And happening up here in the face and the head. It can cause vision loss and severe headaches and jaw pain.
Right. Yikes. So what that means, May, is that if she's listening, hopefully she is, so she can at least know or have an idea what's going on. So our bodies get arthritis, and most diseases we humans get, they have arthritic components to them. So this is where the cells, whether it's virus, bacteria, chemicals, toxins, you're going to keep, hearing us say that parasites, those are one set of things that break our bodies down. Another one is our metabolic processes in our bodies start misfiring. And what that means is that the cells are now, they're not getting adequate oxygen. They're not getting adequate nutrients. So the cells start to swell. They literally just become swollen with inflammation. And then they push all that inflammation out. And then that whole area in the body become infected by the inflammation from the one cell. And before you know it, organs or tissues or blood vessels start gathering inflammation. The most common form of arthritis is what we have in the knee, in the joints. And then there's rheumatoid, which is another type because it's autoimmune. So that's what arthritis is in general, is cells killing off cells because the cells are sick, because the genes in the DNA can no longer produce healthy proteins to support those cells. And then the body starts multiplying those cells, and then the cells start dying off because they become so bloated and and dysfunctional. So what we have to do for someone with arthritis, they can take what we have for arthritis, but they should add our blood circulation formula. So we have, Mary can post the arthritis system we have. And then you should add the blood circulation, because when it's vascular, or the vein, arteries, or capillaries, those have to be rebuilt because now they're blocked, partially blocked, or blocked completely. And that's the vascular side of arthritis, is where the blood vessels are dying, or they die, especially the smaller ones. And then that area doesn't get the blood circulation. And as I just said, the blood circulation, it brings oxygen and nutrients. And that's why these tissues become inflamed and swollen, and then they die. So I think the arthritis package plus the blood circulation, I think that would be very helpful for that person, and for anyone who has arthritis, not just this specific type.
So the arteritis is the same thing as arthritis?
Yes.
Really?
Well, that's why I described the process.
Because it's like it says it's the temporal, it's in the face.
Right. So it's the process of the tissue and the blood vessels breaking down. So it's not like arthritis in the joint, which is different, because that arthritis is destroying ligaments, tendons, synovial fluid, cartilage. That's what that's doing. And then with the rheumatoid form, so the rheumatoid form is the autoimmune form. So what I just described, though, is a process that you should keep in mind. Forget about the names. Think about the process of the tissues and the blood vessels breaking down.
Okay.
That's what's happening. So it's chronic inflammation. The proper word for that would be chronic inflammation, which cover all of those type of issues.
Right. And this is saying that the main treatment is just corticosteroids, which sounds like it's not an actual cure, but just managing the symptoms, managing the inflammation.
And that's what's given for all arthritis, all the different other types of arthritis. Is that's what's given is steroids to reduce the inflammation.
Yikes. Yeah.
So we have two formulas in that system that I just mentioned. One is the MSM, and the other is our anti-inflammatory. So those two together, they will allow the body to start reducing the inflammation. And that would have, it's not like the steroid, but it acts like it because it's getting the body to reduce the inflammation and to pass out the inflammation.
Mary was just quickly asking if she should put the link for the calcium, or is it still just the anti-inflammatory MSM,
So
vitamin D, and Circ?
The whole package, because the cells needs to be rebuilt.
Okay.
The cells are losing their electricity, and that's what calcium does. Calcium helps to rebuild nerves and create the electrical neurological network. So it's also a neurological issue.
Yeah, it sounds pretty serious, so I wouldn't mess around with that, May. I know your sister might be concerned about the price, but even just to give the body a chance to try to regulate and repair, and use the package as often as she can. And then there's always budget-friendly options that she can rotate between, but trying to hit hard quickly is probably very important right now.
Right. So, she can start supplementally if she wants. If this is something that is, if the price is there, you could start with something. But you need to rebuild those tissues. You need to rebuild those cells. You need to rebuild the blood circulation. The blood circulation is the most critical, because the brain has to get the blood circulation. It needs to function well. Otherwise, the brain will start developing other issues, a lot of other issues, not just memory. But if the brain doesn't get the energy that we're going to talk about soon, if it doesn't get the energy from the blood circulation, the oxygen, then the brain itself the cells, other cells in the brain, like I just described it, whether they're in the blood vessels or not, other cells are going to get sick and they're going to become bloated with inflammation. That's what. So the process I just described also leads to the brain diseases that we all have heard of. So that's why, as you said, this issue is, as you know, it's something that needs to be fixed.
May says, thank you. I'll let her know. I've been telling her about NuSpecies for years. Hopes she listens to me now. That's tough. I get it. Do you have our referral pamphlet, the new pamphlet that we made, May? I think Mary might be able to post a link so you can download it onto your phone, but I don't have headphones on, so I can't hear that my tapping is making a problem. But if you have the referral pamphlet, you can, maybe that will help explain NuSpecies better for her, so she knows the kind of support she can expect from us and the quality of our products. And she can always come into a store. I don't know if you guys are near one of our stores, but the team can give her just like a free taste of the products so she can get a sense. I mean, you've had them yourself, so imagine you've tried to offer that, but whatever it takes to see if you can also invite her to the next Q&A next week, and Aston could try to talk to her directly. Or she can call us. Yeah, no cost to that, and all she'll get is some information. And
yeah, that's what we do. We give education. So
the way I would think about it is, even if the steroids are helping, the question is, how long can you take them before they start causing their own side effects that create more health problems that she has to deal with? So it's like, great, if they're working, then that's amazing that she has relief. That buys her time to actually do something to fix the root cause of the problem in the meantime. And then, she talked to her doctor about how long she can realistically take steroids safely and healthfully to manage the symptoms, because she'll need another plan. Okay. Yeah. Also, this episode, when the replay is up, so like after we're done, it stays up on our YouTube channel. And then, it takes about a week, but we'll post in the description all the chapters. So it'll tell you what we talked about and when, and you can link her directly to this section of the show, and you can send it to her so she can hear how Aston responded.
All
right. Great. All right. So we didn't get any other questions. I think hold on. Mary's telling me I'm wrong. Oh, right. Yes. Hold on. I remember reading. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sharon says, is breastfeeding okay while taking the products? And then a second question about food poisoning. So generally, yes, it's fine to use our formulas while breastfeeding. I know I did, and some folks will avoid using the detox, especially during the early stages, because that could pass along to the baby. And especially infants are already having like liquid poops. So I would maybe slow down on the detox. You still recommend that?
Oh, yeah.
Is there any other formulas that you wouldn't take while breastfeeding?
Just the detox. I would say from the detox package altogether, the lymph node, the blood, and the detox intestine. I would say away from all three. I think it's just those.
Well, yeah. So you're good, Sharon. Second part of her question was, if someone has food poisoning, what would you recommend?
So I don't know the degree of it and the effect or effects it's having on the body, but we have a purification system. You could do the entire purification system depending on how bad it is, or you can do a portion. We have many options to the purification. So the purification, it's gonna help to clean the whole body, literally clean the blood, the lymphatic system, the liver, especially the liver, where a lot of this problem will remain. The chemicals are what cause poisoning. So even if it's a virus or a bacteria or whatever, it comes back to chemicals, the chronic inflammation we just talked about. So we have a purification system that you could use, and you could, depending the degree of the poisoning, you could go from our ideal that we recommend for purifying the whole body, and we have options to it.
So if they're actively in the vomiting, diarrhea portion of food poisoning, that could be hard to get something down or keep it down. Are you referring to like once that passes to recover?
No, they
Oh,
should take it now. So NuSpecies is very unique in that when you take NuSpecies, and that's why it's whole foods and raw, right? It digests itself. Once it gets into your stomach, it's gonna start to try to digest itself, or it will digest itself. So if you have the worst type of chronic diarrhea or vomiting, you're vomiting because whatever you're swallowing, the stomach is rejecting it because it can't digest it. But NuSpecies, because it's raw, it has the enzymes and the phytonutrients, and it's whole food. It digests itself. It creates less of an impact on the stomach and the small intestine and the liver. That's where digestion takes place, right? So these different organs together is where digestion actually takes place. So the liver now will have less work to do. When you take NuSpecies, any of you, whether you're poisoned or not, your body is doing a whole lot less work. The metabolic process is balanced. So let's say, 5, let's say 10, it should be the highest. And when it's at the highest, it's killing you, literally destroying the body. When you take NuSpecies, it stays at 5. Doesn't go too low, doesn't go too high. And that's where you create the least amount of inflammation. And speaking of metabolism, we're going to talk about it, hopefully, if we get to it later, because we're going to talk about how the body works and how our minds and stress, how it, how they play a role in metabolism, the very metabolism we're talking about. So, but yes, they can take the NuSpecies even if they're vomiting or.
well, they can. I was just saying that
Yeah.
they may not be able to.
Do small dosage, start off small. If we recommend a tablespoon, do a teaspoon or half a teaspoon, but a lot of it will stay. Yeah.
What I recommend just from my own experience is really don't let them get a whiff of the product as they put it to their face. Like they should really just plug their nose, because when you're vomiting and you're nauseous, the last thing you want to smell is, something earthy and, and natural like our formulas. So I would say make sure they're not sniffing it, and they just gotta get it down. Because once it's in there, what I have found, obviously food poisoning is much more violent, but when I've had other versions of vomiting, I have found that I'll end up just like burping a lot, and then it comes out the other side.
All right, don't freak out our NuSpecies now.
I'm just saying, like, I have experience with this, and I know how hard it can be to get something down when you are already nauseous. But like Aston said, a small dose, if you have to dilute it with a little bit of water, if they're able to get any water down, to just get it in there and let it heal and kill some germs or whatever's causing the problem, and let it pass through.
Germs, parasites. Of course, germs are viruses and bacteria. It could be any of those. It could be chemicals. It could be just bad chemicals in foods that are causing poisoning.
Oh, that's tough. Our heart is with that person. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So unless we get any other questions, we could get into. So we had been talking for a few episodes about the root causes of disease. We went into some versions of ways of talking about the root causes of disease that you might not normally hear. So metabolism, the immune system. We talked about inflammation,
hormones,
the
energy center, the mitochondria, which we're going to talk about. We'll talk about the ribosome
and mitochondria. That was the other word. Yes.
Right. So
then we discussed the root causes, and then you had wanted to layer on spirituality, whether that is part of the root cause of an issue or part of the solution, which is also, I think, a unique NuSpecian perspective that isn't often talked about.
Right. So let's talk about that. The thing to keep in mind now is that metabolism is how the body uses food or nutrients to create energy. And I think most of us look at the using the food or nutrients to we don't look at the energy part of it, what the energy really is. I know a lot of new species over the last 20 years would say, oh, I need energy, I have no energy, I feel fatigue, I'm tired, I'm losing my memory, I feel weak, and in my brain I have fog in my brain. So when we have those, we have those feelings, those emotions, those are a sign of the body not making enough energy, because inflammation is building up in the body where energy is created. So I use the word energy there, what, 2 or 3 times. And it's key because that's what we are. I should speak for me for now. That's what I call spirituality. Spirituality is energy force. It's energy force. So when a lot of you talk to me about the mitochondria and ATP. ATP is energy. Energy is not something you can see or touch, right? It can be measured in the cell, but no one can really see it, and they measure it mathematically. The ATP or the energy in the mitochondria, but no one can see it. But they can use electrons, or they can use other particles and create fields where they can see the angles. So if you want to see what energy looks like, is to Google now. Google hydrogen and see the shape of it, or Google oxygen and see the shape of it. And that's what they look at when they say energy is mathematical, or the universe is mathematical. That's all that they mean. They mean they're able to use fields to see the shapes, and all those shapes are mathematical. They're geometrical. I guess that's the better term. So energy is invisible. So guess what? Less than 1% of our bodies, less than 1% is mass. So you're looking at me now. 99%, more than 99% of me is energy. Isn't that funny? I think it's funny, but it's true. Google it. So I was born in Jamaica, and I've been to most of the beaches in Jamaica, the sand. So guess what? There are more stars and planets in the universe than all the grains of sand of all those beaches. But guess what? The fundamental rule of energy still apply. There is more energy in the whole universe than mass. In fact, there's less than 1% mass. All the stars that you can see at nights, all the stars. And imagine every star has planets or moons. Almost every star has a moon or has some form of mass floating around it. So even for the whole universe, less than 1% of the entire universe is mass. The rest of it is energy. So we at NuSpecies, we call it the energy force. And to give it a even more, I would say, understandable term, I call it the spirit field. I call it spirit, the energy force in us, around us, in the universe is spirit, is a spirit field. And that God made it when God made everything else. The energy and the mass, they came together to form the universe. So they're over 99% energy and less than 1% mass. So that's what that means. Now, Aston, what the heck does it have to do with health? It has everything to do with health. So it took me a long time to figure it out. A lot of you who come to me, you have high blood pressure, you have diabetes, you have cancer, you have high cholesterol, and let's go through each of them so I can, define it better for you. We're going to get back to metabolism and hormones and all of the immune system. We're going to get back to all of that. But you're going to see how small those are. And based on what I'm saying already, if you believe me, you already see how small those are. So someone comes to me and let's say they have diabetes or they have high blood pressure, right? And what I notice with them is that the inflammation that is being created in the body, like we just talked about arteritis, the inflammation being generated in the body is creating a lot of chemicals in the body, and those chemicals create a lot of bad energy, and that's what make people so sick. So the stress of it, the science call it oxidative stress, meaning that there's so much inflammation in the body, the metabolic system can't work properly anymore. The digestive system can't work properly anymore. The hormonal system, ladies, you have fibroids, you have ovarian cysts, you have dense breasts, you have thyroid issues, you have all those other issues. Guys, you have the prostate issues. That's what's happening. All these healing system, metabolism is a healing system, hormones, immune, mitochondrial, the genome, which is the genes and DNA, all of those are healing system. So what's happening now is that all those systems are failing. So when people come to me and they say, I'm taking the medication, it's not working, I'm stressed out, I can see that the stress from that, the energy from that is more powerful than the diabetes, more powerful than the blood pressure, more powerful than the high cholesterol, more powerful than the cancer. And I'm going to tell you all now that stress in their body, that's force, that's energy. It's just bad energy. It's is the worst type of energy that anyone can have, whether you have a disease or not. And guess what? That energy is 99% more powerful than the diabetes. And that's why a lot of people who come to me with cancer, stage 4 cancer, they came in the end. That's what killed them. It's the stress killed them. It's not the cancer that killed them or the heart disease. Yes, the 1% contributes, but 99% of that energy being created in the body. Because again, don't forget, 1% mass and 99% energy. So whether it's negative energy or positive energy, you can see the results of that. So the more positive energy we have, is the longer we're likely to live, is the more happy we're likely to be. The more negative energy we have, we're actually creating more inflammation. So now this diabetes and high blood pressure destroy the kidney, destroy the blood vessels, destroy the heart, destroy the brain, and cause premature death. So if we focus more on energy or the energy force in our bodies, we are more likely to have better health and longer life. And by the way, this is completely scientific. So if you Google anything I just said, they won't dispute you. What they're going to say is that Einstein didn't come up with a theory for that, or all the other physicists around the world didn't come up with a theory for that. But there are more physicists now who are touching into that, but then mathematically or geometrically, they have no way to measure it. And they won't figure this out for probably another 100 or 200 years. So that's what we call the spirit field or the spirit force that we can use to live healthy and longer on earth, not the other spirit for the afterlife. That's something that we may address later or never. But let's figure out this one first. Let's figure out the spirit field that we have in us that we need to keep clean and healthy for better health and longer life. And let's figure out how, as Jillian was saying about nature earlier in our Q&A, let's figure out how we keep our bodies clean so we can go into nature and feel the power, all that energy in nature. It's out there. It's right here. And if our bodies are not clean enough, less inflammation, if our bodies are not clean enough, we're not going to be able to see it and feel it and use the healing force that's in it. And what is the healing force in it? It's from the sun. That's why ancient peoples always loved the sun. That's why we all love the sun. That's why Jillian and Mary came in this morning and they say, oh, the sun is out. Let's open all the windows and the doors and all that. It's because of the spirit field. We all intuitively know it's there, but we don't use it. We trample it. And when we start using that spirit field that's within us and that's out there in the universe, believe me, we all are going to be healthier and we're going to live longer.
Well, our bodies are electric and we've got our circulatory system. You know, everything about the body needs to communicate and flow. And, you know, yes, science is getting better and better at actually measuring and proving what we all feel and know is true. But we experience it. We know that the use of meditation and prayer, the use of positive or resilient thinking or, you know, positive storytelling in our minds. We also see the opposite, negative storytelling, how it can take down everything, you know.
Right.
When we wake up and it's not sunny, how many of us actually tell ourselves a negative story and we say, oh, such a gloomy day, and we immediately talk ourselves into a negative mindset. I try really hard when I see the rain to say, great, we're cleansing. The earth is washing. You know, I try to tell myself a positive story and then I don't feel bad about it. So we have this incredible power. I mean, our brains are filtering spirit, are filtering consciousness. And we have the power to be part of that filter and make it a positive or a healing one, you know. That's why, you know, fear versus love, right? Like we often compare love versus hate, but actually it's love versus fear. Because I think hate actually builds from fear first. And you know, many people think that. That's not my original idea. But you know, fear, when we speak with a lot of folks who are suffering with illness and including our own family members, fear is really devastating and dangerous.
Oh yeah.
And
it creates a lot of negative cortisol, stress hormones.
Right. So like there's the physical
that destroy the immune system, destroy hormone system, destroy the metabolic system.
Right. But then there's also the energy that gets created too.
Right.
All of that is probably one, but you know, some of it can be measured and some of it isn't. Some of it is acknowledged by science or your doctors and some of it isn't.
Right.
But you actually have the power to channel spirit and create and channel more positive chemical reactions and energy in your body for healing through love and compassion. And that's really high level. That can be created in so many, like from the macroscopic to the microscopic, right? And whether it's just compassion and love for yourself, compassion and love for disease. You know, we want to hate the disease, but it developed in us. It is part of us. So hating it is hating in ourselves. I actually listened to an interesting interview with a scientist who was explaining that like cancer cells are like disenfranchised from their community. So there are these rogue cells that are like hurting and hurting us. Whereas and she was explaining how in her study, she saw that if a person thought, I have to fight the cancer, I have to kill the cancer, well, it's part of her body. So that is creating more damaging effects than if they're thinking, I have to welcome that cell back into the fold. I have to get that cell to reacclimate, become part of me again in a positive way. And so that creates energy that is healing versus, you know, so like love and compassion, even for your disease, can contribute to healing. And, you know, you can go on and on about this at every level, whether it's love and compassion for others. So you get angry when that person tailgates you the whole way down 84 last night with your children in the back of your car
and breach your spirit field.
And then you just have to be like, maybe they're rushing to the hospital
Maybe
and
they're on
pull
medication.
over, because if you let yourself stay in that stressful situation, tell yourself a negative story, you're going to create unnecessary stress in your body and negative energy in your body. When I can just say, okay, I don't know what's wrong with that person. Maybe they're on a medication that's affecting them. I have no idea what's happening in that person's life. I'm going to
Right.
show love and compassion,
Right.
because not only does that, it's not even really about that person in the end. It's about protecting myself.
And we all have family members like that. They walk into the room and the energy change,
Oh,
positive or negative.
yeah.
We all have that.
They call you on your phone and
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
so that's the energy. That's the spirit field. And I call it the spirit field because it changes our behavior. It changes our thoughts. It changes how we how we think, and it makes us just act differently, and it causes stress, and the stress causes cortisol to build up and other stress hormones. And when those stress hormones they start being produced, the stress hormones damage the immune system, damage the digestion, damage the metabolic system, damage the genes and the DNA eventually. And you can see what I'm saying now, that the person who died from a disease probably didn't have to die from it if they had a really good spirit field where they can filter out the negative energy. So you have to develop filters, and we will teach you, we have stuff on the website already, how we're going to teach you how to filter out negative feelings, negative emotion. But I want to address energy one last piece before we close. We have about 10 minutes.
We just have a couple of follow-up questions about like specific product ones, like shaking calcium and stuff like that.
Sure.
So they're quickies.
Yeah.
Oh no, but after you do the one last piece about energy.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go ahead and do
No,
those.
so I don't want him to think we're gonna wrap up without addressing.
So this is the ultimate energy, and I'm gonna leave out the sciencey physics stuff out of it for now. One day we can go into that if you ask. So the sun, when the universe was formed, it was formed from energy. All science says when God first made the universe, and it kind of says that in the Genesis, and it kind of says that in the Nubian Kushite ancient Egyptian ancient texts about the primordial water. Water there is a metaphor for spirit or energy. It's not water like water, right? So there was no water when the universe was first formed. That came much later. So that energy is what create the stars, and as the energy expand, it bring in a lot of particles, and that's how the stars were formed. Now, a star can live for a week, but most stars live for billions of years. Like our star is projected to live for about 9 billion years. What's keeping the star alive, in the core of the star, there's a lot of hydrogen, about probably 80 or 79% of hydrogen that's burning. It's like a fire, like you have literally like a fire. You light your stove, or you light a bush. You have a bushfire. It's literally a fire. It's a fire of electrical energy. So those hydrogen get burned, and they create other chemicals, like like oxygen that we have in our bodies, like calcium, like all the other minerals that we atoms that we have in our body. So that's energy being created there with that burning, and they call that nuclear fusion. That's the only only scientific term I'm going to use. In our bodies, metaphorically, the same thing is happening, but it's not hydrogen or atoms being burned into other atoms. In our bodies, in the mitochondria, where we create energy, it's the same type of energy, but it's so small, it's so low, so much lower, it can't even be measured. So in our mitochondria, metaphorically, it's the same thing that's happening. Our bodies are using the same type of hydrogen and the same type of hydrogen electrons in our bodies, in the mitochondria, to create energy. But it's called chemical energy. not nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is what's formed in the star when they make nuclear bombs. They're blowing up atoms. That's the difference. But in our bodies, the atoms are not being blown up. The atoms are being recycled. So the electrons from the hydrogen atoms and the protons from the hydrogen atoms, that's what creating the energy for us. And that's why God put between 5 and 6,000 mitochondria in each cell. Women have the most, by the way. And that's why women typically live longer. That's one reason. That's not the only reason. Maybe God loves women especially, and I could see why God does that. But a woman's ovary, one cell in a woman's ovary can have up to 6,000 mitochondria. But the liver cell has about, it can have up to 100, depending how healthy the person is. The bottom line is that energy is what our bodies need in our mitochondria, not just to power the cells that we just talk about how they can get sick and die, whether it's cancer or inflammation, but to power the organs, to power everything in our bodies. And our bodies can make even more suns. I call the mitochondria suns. Our bodies can make even more. The healthier we get, the more energy we have, the cleaner our blood, the cleaner our cells, the cleaner our systems, our bodies will make more mitochondria to make more energy. That is the blessing that we got from God for us to live for as long as we can live, is for that mitochondria that is like the sun. It's just like the sun, not the same. I told you the difference. But if we can get our mitochondria to be clean enough in our liver, in our organs, in all our cells, 30 trillion, we can live a very, very long time. Now, the problem with that is we humans have destroyed probably most of that potential with the industrial revolution, where we now live in chemical fields. We now live in toxic fields. We now breathe toxic oxygen, toxic air. We now eat toxic foods because of all the industrialization around the world. We have a lot of carbon that we shouldn't be having going into our bodies to create more inflammation. We have to fight all that. And that, folks, is what NuSpecies is all about. When we talk about the LNU1, the body system that I first invented that formula to support the whole body. All of you who are listening now who've been taking NuSpecies from day one, you have heard that I said that from day one. You have to support the whole body. Otherwise, all it takes is one cell, one sick cell, over time to tear the body apart. And I mentioned that when we talk about the arteritis, where you have the sick cell becoming sick and bloated, create inflammation, and spew out all the carbon poison waste matter from it to other cells in the neighborhood. And before you know it, the liver is sick, the kidney is sick, the ovary is sick, the uterus is sick, the breast gland, the prostate. We have all these diseases. That's what they're all, folks. That's what they all are. And that's why we have the formulas we have. Each one is doing something very different, because when any client comes to us, no client ever come to us with diabetes alone or blood pressure alone. When you look at their labs, there's a constellation of other issues beside the A1C being high, the glucose being high, a constellation of other issues. There's CBC issues with, red blood cells or white blood cells. So it's a constellation of issues that we are trying to help you to resolve when you come to us. So please, now you know. Now you know, you have an idea about NuSpecies science. So when you come to us, and we recommend 2 bottles or 5 bottles or 6 bottles, understand that you have a constellation of issues, and some of them have to be resolved together. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere. And now you can say, doctor, that's why I have to take the blood pressure medication for life. because the medication is trying to soften the blood vessels so the blood can flow. The medication is not fixing the root cause of the blood pressure, which a lot of you know. A lot of you have stress causing high blood pressure. Know you have heard about the spirit fail. That's where the most diseases occur and perpetuate themselves. It's in that field, that 99%. Don't ever forget that. So when you take NuSpecies, we are powering your body, your immune system, and your body overall to be able to strong enough to fight these things, to fight stress, to fight inflammation, to repair your immune system, to repair your metabolic system, to repair your digestive system. All those healing systems, if they are not repaired, if all of them are not repaired, all it takes is one to tear down all the others because they work together. They all work together. And I hope you all are not going to say you have no questions about that, because I just said a whole mouthful.
Well, I don't think they're going to have time. We have a couple of other questions that have come in, just
Okay.
ones about the product specifically. So I want to make sure we answer those before we go. And then I think this is a conversation that needs to keep developing over every
Okay.
episode.
All right.
All right. So, Courage, you have a question about products for mental health stability and recovery for a stressed brain. I think we're going to have to get to that one next week because that's going to require a bit more explanation. So I took a screenshot to make sure we don't forget about that next week, and hopefully you join us next week. If not, there's always replays, and again, there'll be the chapter markers in the descriptions. So you can find where we answered your question and watch it whenever you're available. Your first question about the calcium formula. It is true that the liquid version, the calcium itself, the algae calcium, is very thick, very dense. And so as the bottle sits on the shelf, it does settle to the bottom. And because it is so dense, if it isn't shaken often, it will really, really get stuck down there. So when I used to work in the stores before I sold the calcium, I would spend a good minute like banging the bottom of the bottle and getting it to mix back into the vegetable glycerin. But I know in the stores can get really busy and our team doesn't always do that. So for you, I mean, in my experience, as long as you give that first shake really, really well. So like if you were to turn the bottle over and hold it up into the light, you can see if the liquid is sloshing around on the bottom of the bottle. That means all the calcium has been mixed back in. I've never had a situation where I couldn't get it to mix back in at all. We have had clients who are just very weak, and that vigorous shaking is just not within their strength to do. And so for that reason, we do now have the powder, which you would mix into water yourself, or the capsules, so you don't have to do any mixing at all. So there are other versions of the same calcium, same algae calcium, so that if you are finding liquid to be just a real pain in the butt, you can switch it out. Having said that, though, let me know if you are just, no matter how you bang or shake, you cannot get that calcium off the bottom of the bottle. And then you could always bring it into a store or send it back to us and we'll just get it replaced. Okay. And also, yeah, and like we wouldn't necessarily want to stick anything into the bottle. We just wouldn't want to introduce any possibility for germs. So we really do want to get it shaken in a contained way. Okay. And then your last question about the shot bottles for Queen Annie, Big Boy, and Fiery Focus having been changed to the 1-ounce size. I totally understand. This is one of those things where like the majority of people were frustrated by something and we fixed it. But then there's the few people who liked it the way it was who are not happy with us. And I understand. Most people using Queen Annie, Big Boy, or Fiery Focus are buying 5, 10, 15, 30 bottles at a time. And so we felt they were very frustrated by so many of these bottles. So we felt if we could put a double dose into a 1-ounce bottle, they could buy 10 instead of 20, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
It also just helped on the back end just to be more environmentally friendly, to have less bottles out there. Having all like thousands of little 1/2-ounce bottles was logistically a very big burden on our operation. And we felt that if it could solve a problem for clients and make the operation easier for us, we thought it was a great solution. And so I know you loved that the 1/2 ounce was like exactly the tablespoon that you needed. But there are a lot of people who are actually not taking a tablespoon, they're taking an ounce, but some people are taking a teaspoon and they found that pouring out of that little half-ounce bottle was very difficult and they couldn't get an accurate dose. So now with the 1 ounce, with the screw top, you can pour out exactly however much you need. And for those who need larger doses, they can just buy less bottles. The price hasn't changed, quality of the formula hasn't changed, just the packaging. So I get it if you don't like it, but for the majority of people, it did solve a big problem. So we hope you can adjust.
Yes.
All right. That is what we've got for today. Let me just double check here.
So we
Yes.
will go into more details about everything we discussed. But if you have questions, though, if you ask questions about what we talked about today and the past weeks, about how the stress and energy and spirituality, how they apply to health, to the health conditions we all have, how they apply to the formulas we have, how the formulas help those those different aspects of our health, stress and spirituality, and again, spirituality as how we live today on earth. Just that, just how we live and how we can use the energy around us to live better and live longer with friends and family. And ask so that we don't go off and talk about other things, because all that we talk about today, we could take it into 100 different directions.
Mhm.
But we want to go in the direction that you're interested in. We want to follow you and let you understand how you can use all this information at home to help yourselves and help your family and help the community. All
Great.
right.
Yes. And lastly, I will say just a reminder, the 15% off is going to go through next Sunday, as some of you have asked in the chat. Oh, you're welcome, Ricardo. And if you want to turn that into 20% or just get another discount before we do another one for 20% off, please put a review of NuSpecies on Google or a review in the review sections of our Facebook page. If you're having after this show, maybe you're going through your week and you're like, something that Aston said just struck a chord and I actually have more questions, you can download NuSpecies app and submit a question at any time. We get those pre-submitted questions in our email, and then we're prepared to answer them when we come on live. So feel free to submit questions at any time on NuSpecies app.
As you can tell, we have a lot to talk about. I told you we have a lot to talk about in 2026, and let's add in 2027, because it's going to take us a lot of time to cover all the territory we need to cover into getting all of you to be missionaries to help God's people. That's what this is all about, if you didn't know. And on that note, are we done?
Yes, enjoy this wonderful weekend. If you celebrate Easter, have a wonderful, wonderful Easter tomorrow. Again, if it rains, don't tell yourself a negative story about that. Find positive way to look at the rain, why we need it, why it's a blessing, and celebrate your holiday all the same with just as much joy. You bring the sunshine, because that, as Aston just explained, that energy is already within you.
Right. And happy Easter is my mother and father's favorite time of the year. They're no longer here, and I always remember them. And I'm sure you all have your own family lineage, ancestry like I do. Happy Easter.
Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week.